Welcome to another evening with Backyard Farmer. I'm Kim Todd, and we're happy to have you along with us for another hour of good gardening. If you need a question answered, you can reach us at 1-800-676-5446. We take your emails and pictures for a future show. That address is byf@unl.edu. Do please tell us where you live. Give us as much information as you can so we can give you the best answer. Do make sure also that you check out our exclusive content on our YouTube channel and on Facebook after the show. So, samples, Wayne, yuck. Okay, what is it?
Only one's a yuck.
Okay.
One. So I've got here with me a couple of peaches. This is from our community garden on the side of the office there in Norfolk. And you notice one isn't looking so scrumptious as maybe the other one is. So this other one, the full one here, has one little spot where something started to eat away at the top of it. That's how it starts. And then it attracts everything else, and they come to party on these peaches or any ripening fruit. And so what this is really a reminder is timely harvest, because once they get a taste for it, they go through everything on that particular plant. So when I picked this peach, there was a honeybee busy chewing away on it. You'll get other things like paper wasps, yellow jackets, bumbleflower beetles. There's lots of things that will eat and attack and ruin it so that you don't want to eat it. And then they invite Kyle's friends.
It's, it's a party, right?
It is.
Well, and again, you can spray, you can start a program early, but it's got to be before.
Well, the problem is when you're getting to ripe fruit,
You can't.
there's not really much you can spray.
I'm talking way early.
Oh no, this is beyond early spraying.
I know, yeah. That's not even cobbler.
No.
Okay, Jeff, not turf.
It's not turf, but I just thought I'd share it.
He's showing off.
Yeah, I'm just showing off, right, yeah. But the other thing, this is limelight, hydrangea paniculata limelight. And the one thing I really like about this particular group, the paniculata hydrangeas, they're very tolerant of a lot of conditions. So, I don't have to do anything special with this particular one when I'm watering the lawn or not watering the lawn. It seems to deal with either way. So, which is nice, So a lot of shrubs, either you're adding water to it or you're trying to increase the drainage so that they don't stay too wet. But this is very tolerant, so.
And you get those big flower heads every year because you prune it.
I prune it, yes, yeah. I take it way down, yeah. So anyway, and I vary the pruning heights year to year too, so.
Yeah. Just lovely, really a pretty one. Thank you for bringing it, even if it's not turf.
It's not turf. Well, but I got chewed up fruit and nasty tomatoes next, so.
Okay, Kyle, your turn.
I think the argument could be made that most tomatoes, unless they're processed, are nasty.
Or nasty, wow.
That's harsh.
It's the truth, and I apologize, people. Okay, anyway, so tomatoes are, they're starting to finally turn red and ripen and do all the fun things that tomatoes will do, but there's also getting a whole bunch of different spots and things like that on them. So I just have a whole bunch of different tomato things. This one right here, this is just a sunburn, and so this is sun scald, just this bleached area. Eventually, you will start to get some other fungi, stuff like that moves in and colonizes it. Kind of same issue here with this crack, so you want to make sure that you don't have other stuff going in. A bunch of different bacterial diseases. Once these mature, you can eat all of these, just cut those areas out. And then this is the fun one. This is the other Phytophthora. So this is buckeye rot on tomato. It's not the Phytophthora that causes late blight. It's one of the others. But again, you could just cut that area out and consume it just like you would anything else.
All righty then. And some beauty on the other end of the table, Dana.
Yeah, on all of my previous panel appearances, I brought tomatoes, so we didn't coordinate that. But I brought calamint, or Calamintha nepeta, and this is an adapted perennial from the Mediterranean. It has a place in Nebraska gardens. It deserves a place. It is in the mint family, so the foliage is fragrant. But what is nice is that unlike its herbal cousins, it's not aggressive. It stays nicely compact. It's mounded at about 1.5 feet tall by about 2 feet wide. It's got these nice little egg-shaped gray-green leaves. And then from June to frost, it's topped with all of these lovely white, tiny two-lipped flowers. It's loved by pollinators, especially bees. It's low maintenance, thrives in lots of different conditions, very tolerant, and definitely something worth considering for your Nebraska garden.
Excellent, thank you very much, and I love that plant too. All right, Wayne, let's start with one picture that comes to us from Plymouth, Indiana. Former alum, and what might be eating his lily of the valley leaves?
Well, what I can say, it's a lepidopteran. That's about as far as I can get into this, and I just, full disclosure here, I got on the worldwide database of lep host plants, and there are 3 things that eat this plant in there, none of which occur in North America. And none of which are really close enough for me to even venture a guess as to what the identification of that is. So take it into your local extension office
Or
if you
just
need
don't
further information.
All right, 2 pictures on the next one. This is Sioux City. Zucchini plant wilted, pulled it up. The root was mushy, the stems were hollow. They want to know what to do next year to prevent it.
Well, this looks most likely like squash vine borer damage with the borers gone already at this point. And in order to protect them, you either have to be on a regular spray schedule with a pyrethroid or dusting the main nodes of that plant to keep the caterpillars from boring in, because the eggs are laid on the external surface, and when they hatch and they try to bore in, they'll get exposed.
All right, one picture on the next one. This one comes to us from Wayne. She just wants to know what this tiny disguised bug is, and just sat there for 20 minutes while she was in the garden.
Yeah, well, they're used to sitting very quietly and still so that they don't get eaten by birds. This is a buffalo tree hopper, named for the 2 little horns off to the side there that you can see. Usually they're not any kind of a pest problem, but I'm glad you got to enjoy them.
All right, excellent. Okay, Jeff, you have 3 pictures on the first one. This is a viewer who has Tree of Heaven, and she was told she could use Tordon RTU. She did a basal bark method. She wants to know if she truly killed them, if they're not truly dead, what should she do? And it is Tordon.
Yeah, so, well, they're wilting. So I think at this stage, I would just be patient, just watch them, don't do anything to them. And, if anything, the stems will turn brown or turn black, and then you'll know that the plants are dead. So, and then I think I would flag the area for next year just to see if something comes up in that spot next year. And I would avoid planting in that area for the next year. So it takes about a year for that product to work through its process and degrade.
Okay, excellent. Since that's now available, people need to know that.
Yeah.
Okay, 2 picks on the next one. This is a Carney viewer, a newly sodded lawn, and you can see kind of the pattern there. Yeah.
Fun.
So how do they care for it?
Well, at this stage, so for the first 4 to 6 weeks, just focus on watering. Don't worry about fertilizing. You're going to water it at least twice a day, and monitor the amount of water you put on, and kind of also take into account climatic conditions, if it's really hot, if it's cooler, if we've had some rain, all that stuff. After about 4 to 6 weeks, then you could look at putting a starter fertilizer, something that's kind of balanced, and put that on according to the rate. And then continue to water about an inch a week. Again, taking into account the amount of precip that we're getting.
All right, 1 picture on the next one. This is just an example of what he wants. He wants a no-mow floppy grass lawn, and he wants some suggestions for Nebraska.
Well, some things that we've done on campus that were maybe kind of along this train of thought is, one is there's some really good dwarf fine fescues out there that, I don't know if it'd give you necessarily a floppy lawn, but it will, they don't require much in the way of mowing. And there's really some good varieties out there that you could choose if that's really kind of one of the things. And you could allow them to grow a little longer than you normally would and kind of get that appearance if that's what you want. The other thing that I personally like is buffalo grass blue grama mix. And it's a little taller, and it's a shorter season. You're not going to, it's not green in April and it's not green in November, but they are, I think, lovely. So anyway, so that's one option.
Okay.
And then sheep fescue, which is a plant that I'm really interested in. I'm going to continue to try, but I've yet to be successful at really having the lawn that I want with it. And I think we're just maybe a little too wet here. But if you're a little farther west, maybe Grand Island west, sheep fescue might be a really good choice for something like this.
Excellent. All right, 3 picks on this one for you, Kyle. This is Torrington, Wyoming. 9 years ago, planted these. They are starting to get a little brown in the middle. This is junipers, a couple different varieties. You can see environmental conditions. Are we thinking it's maybe more?
Yeah,
that?
it's going to be hard for really any sort of air to move through that canopy. There's a lot there. I think that we're dealing with one of the tip blights, probably Capitina, based on that silvery grayish appearance. Really, the best thing to do long term is to try to do some pruning to improve airflow through that area. That's by far the best. But if you are thinking about some sort of chemical control, early in the spring, really about that kind of I don't know Wyoming, but right before those branches are really starting to grow, that's when you'd want to apply a broad spectrum fungicide.
All right, 2 pictures on the next one, Kyle. This is a linden. It's only a year old. And got black spots on the leaves, and now, excuse me, some of them are appearing raggedy. So I think our next picture shows kind of some spots and.
Yeah, it's some fungal leaf spot. It's probably a Cercospora based on the color and how the centers are dropping out. Nothing that I would worry about, especially, the tree's only a year old. The one thing that I would do, though, is I would look at the mulch on that tree and probably try to pull away the mulch of the base. It did look like it was kind of right up against the trunk there, so set the tree up for success. But these leaf spots, nothing to worry about.
Excellent. All right, 1 picture on the next one, Kyle. This comes to us from Honey Creek, Iowa. She found these fungi on this log. What are these?
Well, a boring name for them is the Cinnabar polypore. Cooler name for them is the blood red bracket. Hence the color. But yeah, found on all sorts of deciduous trees, very common, and they can be used to do it to dye things. So a lot of artists will use them.
Excellent. Very pretty. All right, 2 pictures for you on this one, Dana. This comes to us from Haydar, Nebraska. It's a Lodi apple tree, and she wants to know when to prune it and how much.
So with our young fruit trees, we want to think about structural pruning. That would be late winter, early spring before it leaves out. And you want to focus on creating a nice central leader with scaffolding branches about a foot apart. You may need a bit of a limb spreader to get the crotches at about 60 degrees. And you might consider, those are really long branches, you might consider some heading back cuts. We've got a good neb guide at extensionpubs.unl.edu that has some nice diagrams.
Excellent. 2 pictures on the next one. This is a 3-year-old Japanese tree lilac, and she's worried most about the next picture, which is cracked bark and what she's calling algae.
Yeah.
And what do we think here?
So with the cracks, it's kind of hard to tell from the photo. Sometimes we can see some damage in winter based on if it's on the southwest side, when temperatures kind of warm that bark up and then drop rapidly. But also at the soil line where that one is, that could be planted too deeply. And so you kind of want to do some investigating, maybe pull some of that mulch back, see how deep those cracks are. It's probably time, since it's a nice tree, to call in a certified arborist. But those are Kyle's, something that Kyle would really like. Those are lichens. Yeah. So it's a combination of algae, and it's a symbiotic relationship, and so nothing to worry about there.
Perfect, excellent. And one more picture for you. This one comes to us from near Columbus. She took her snake plant outside for the summer, but then it developed these spots. It is in the shade. She says she doesn't see any insects.
Yeah, I would suspect it's still a little light colored and there is a little sunburn there. I suspect it's still getting a little bit too much direct sunlight. But the other concern is more, I think it's probably also getting too much water from the sky, which is not uncommon. Snake plants like droughty type conditions, so that's pretty much edema. And that can cause some of those crusty lesions, some of those bumps. So let's let the plant dry out a little bit.
Excellent, thanks so much. Well, one of the most difficult problems gardeners face is when some weed or insect or something else that isn't native starts to invade our spaces. Think of things like Japanese beetle, emerald ash borer. For our first feature, Jody is going to help us cope with a few of these insects that aren't here yet, but could be coming soon.
We are not strangers to invasive species. We have had a lot of visits by the Japanese beetle, especially in our ornamental plants, our roses, our linden trees, and we've also not been strangers to the emerald ash borer and the destruction of our young and old ash trees. So why do we have such problems with invasive species? Well, when some new population of insect comes to Nebraska where they've not been before, they don't have any natural enemies or predators. We are not educated about them. We are not on the lookout for them. We haven't scouted, and therefore we don't have any management opportunities for that. But we don't know what we don't know. So we're going to talk a little bit about invasive species and what you can do to stop them. Invasive species are difficult to manage. It takes a lot of money to try to employ some of the tactics and some of the control methods because we don't know what will work. Fortunately, though, we do have people that are on the lookout for invasive species like the Department of Ag who do survey and surveillance for organisms that may be coming into Nebraska. Things that we can do to prevent those kind of infestations or invasions of invasive species is when we are out traveling, especially with RVs and campers and our vehicles, that we are very observant to what may be hitchhiking a ride on there. And it can be egg masses, it can be nymphs, it can be adults, all different life stages of certain insects. The ones that I'm thinking about right now are the spotted lanternfly, which has been in the United States since 2014 and has been seen in Iowa, though not thought to be established. And we do expect them in the future. We also are on the lookout for ticks. We do tell everyone to check themselves for ticks after outdoor activities because we want to protect human health. But there are also invasive ticks that we want to identify. So that's why keeping those ticks and either having them sent in for identification or testing will also be good at intercepting those so we can find out if invasive ticks like the Asian longhorn tick are being seen in Nebraska. The second thing we want to do is take pictures of anything that may look off. If you do think it's one of those organisms that may be on the invasive species list and something to look out for in Nebraska, then you want to take a picture before you step on it and make sure that we are looking at that. You can bring that to your local extension office, you can send it to Backyard Farmer, you can locate someone from the Department of Ag to take a look. In some states where they are established, they may say to stomp on it, but we want to make sure and confirm its identity first. That way we can find that population, go and investigate more, and find out if we do have established populations. When detected early, we can try to do some eradication efforts so those populations don't get out of control. So don't panic, but be observant when you're outside. Make sure to pay attention to any invasive species lists. The Department of Ag and us at Backyard Farmer will let you know when we need you to get out and help us scout for these.
As Jody said, there's really no real emergency when surrounding states report a few of the insects. We here on the show will help you find the resources to help you deal with anything that might become a problem, so no panic. All right, 2 picks on this one from Albion. Wayne, they're wondering, is this a flea beetle? Hundreds decimated her Swiss chard overnight, and will they attack other things? And she wants to control without chemical pesticides.
Okay, well, these are black blister beetles, not flea beetles. I do not recommend hand removal with these because they will make you sensitive to the sun and blister badly due to exposure from that. Really, if you're looking for more of an organic control, they do have some crushed seashell products out there that do mess up their gut. Since they're calcareous, they have an alkaline gut, not an acid gut like ours, and so then it ends up ripping up their insides, and you get a little bit of sweet revenge that way.
Okay. 2 pictures on the next one. This is an acreage near Firth. These are celebrity tomatoes. Every single one on the plant looks like this. She does not want to eat them, but she does want to know, and she says lots of other people are having similar issues. What do we have here?
This really looks like splitting from high water events, and then they've had other things get into them, eat on them, rot on them. So I think your original problem here is splitting, which is tough when we get lots of rain all at once.
Okay, and 1 picture on the next one, Wayne. This comes to us from Omaha. This is, they think it's a disease damaging their jade plant.
This one's not a disease. This is mealybugs, and really the best way to deal with these on houseplants is a good shower. Get them hosed off really nice, either in the shower, take them outside, hit them with the sprayer on the end of the hose, just to get them washed off. That's one of the best ways to take care of those.
All right, excellent. Jeff, 1 picture on this one. They live near a golf course. They think this is creeping bent grass that has crept in, and they want to know how to get rid of it.
Well, mesotrione, so tenacity is the kind of brand name, will handle that pretty well. And as well, something like glyphosate will also deal with that. So either one of those, just kind of carefully apply it, read the label, and then look at things like aerating, fertilizing properly, proper watering, those sort of things to kind of bolster the rest of the turf.
All right, 1 picture on the next one. This is what's the best way to take grass out of the daylily bed, and she's circled it for us.
Yeah, a shovel, I think, would be the way I would handle it. That would be
Yep.
I mean, they're 2 big blue stems or little blue stems, so I say for something like this, go ahead and just dig those plants out. That would be the simplest thing. You can plant them somewhere else in the yard if you want to keep them, and then look at pre-emerging that daylily bed.
All right, and 2 picks on the next one. This is nutsedge in her new buffalo grass that was planted in late June.
First of all, congratulations on a great job with the buffalo grass. It is not easy to have that good a stand in this short a period of time, so I think they're doing a lot of things right. With the nutsedge, with the new seeding, I'm hesitant to apply anything right now. I think I'd wait till next year to use like a sedge hammer in June. You should be starting to see it by that time. I think at this point, you're probably getting close to getting ready to give it a mowing. Just make sure that the nutsedge doesn't flower and produce any more seed. So.
All right, excellent. Let's see, 2 for you, Kyle, on this one. She was cleaning organic sweet corn and found what she thought was a mushroom, and she's wondering, she says it looks like her greyhound's nose is sticking out of the ear of corn.
That is a very apt description. This is a Mexican delicacy. This is Mexican truffles, corn smut. Eustalago matus. Very, very common. We see it basically, the fungus goes and replaces the pollen. And so it travels down that pollen tube, and instead of a kernel forming, we get this big mushroom thing. So when they're fresh, you can fry them up, throw them in a tortilla, and they are delicious. But nothing to worry about.
All righty then. 1 picture on this one. This comes to us from one of our good viewers who was in Denali National Park in Alaska, and she found this and wonders what it is and what we can tell her about it.
It's beautiful is what it is. This is excuse me. This is a fly agaric, Amanita muscaria, Amanita muscaria. But this mushroom is the reason that most of our Christmas traditions exist. It's early. I don't want to talk too much about Santa Claus right now. But at some point, if you find me outside, let's talk about the Christmas mushroom, and we can learn all about how this mushroom has influenced Christmas. Don't eat it, though. Highly, highly toxic.
All right, beautiful and highly toxic.
Yes.
And two more. This one comes to us from Minden, Iowa. She found this in her flower bed. Is it a fungus, and should she get rid of it?
It is a fungus, nothing to worry about. It's some sort of bird's nest fungi. And so there's a whole bunch of different types of bird's nest fungi that are all in this same family. They're really nothing to worry about. We see them very commonly, especially on new mulches. But when it dries out, they'll go away. They're not harming anything. So just something cool to look at.
Excellent. All right, one picture on this one for you, Dana. This comes to us from Seward.
Yes.
Planted it about 6 years ago. Recent storm tore off the limb. Can it be saved? Should she seal?
So I think that's the main stem, and since that's the case, you probably want to prune it at the ground level,
Yeah.
which is too bad. But the dark spot she mentioned, I think, is included bark,
Right.
where you had a tight, either a codominant leader or a tight stem and or tight branch angle, and that's the reason
That it failed.
that it failed.
All right, one picture on this one. They kept losing big branches from a maple. They had to cut down. She's wondering about the brown spot and then removing the root ball, and what else could be planted near it.
So the brown spot is something for Kyle to talk about, but I would just say wood decaying fungi. Nothing to worry about now, but definitely you can't really take the root ball out of that huge tree, but you can grind it down or just leave it and then move over and plant something else. You're not going to get anything in 10 years. I think that was the request, but maybe try a sycamore or something like that.
All right, one picture on this one. This comes to us from Wayne. Found this tree as a seedling, planted it, transplanted it 3 feet in diameter. The roots spread and stick out of the ground. She's wondering, did she not plant it deep enough, or is this just interesting?
I think the opposite. I
Yeah.
think she may have planted that a little too deeply, which is sometimes what we'll get these girdling roots and they just kind of circle. Maples are prone to that shallow root system, but at this point, there's nothing to do about it. Enjoy your tree for the rest of its life.
All right, and 3 more, and this is a Bennington viewer. She's wondering, are the mulch rings too small? They went out about 2 feet around them, and then one of these is leaning just a little bit. So she's wondering whether what should they do here?
So the mulch rings were appropriate when the tree was first planted, but as the tree grows, so should the mulch ring. Kind of take that out to the drip line. That's a very slight lean. I would probably let that straighten out on its own, but definitely remove that spiral plastic guard at the base of those trees. At this point, you could be, harboring moisture or creating a great environment for pests. So otherwise, trees look good.
All right, great. Well, as summer is winding down, we do expect to have some cooler weather on the way. Maybe a few more days with that hot, sweaty weather, but let's let Gannon Rush from the High Plains Regional Climate Center tell us what to expect for the coming week.
Thanks, Kim. Considering it's late August, we have an absolutely phenomenal week ahead of us. We'll start off on a warmer note with highs on Friday in the 80s and into the 90s. On Saturday, most of the state will drop in the 70s and will remain that way through the middle of next week. The 2 coldest days seem to be Monday and Tuesday, where I wouldn't be surprised if areas along the Colorado border were in the mid-60s. The rain forecast for this week heavily favors the western half of the state, with areas like Sidney and McCook expected to receive an inch or more. Beginning tomorrow, this part of the state will see a pretty active pattern with near daily chances of storms. In the eastern half of the state, the best chance for rain is on Friday night and the early Saturday morning. And that's your week of weather forecast. Back to you, Kim.
Thanks, Gannon. We're going to take a short break now, but coming up is the Plant of the Week and the Lightning Round. There's much more Backyard Farmer right after this. Welcome back to Backyard Farmer. Coming up later in the show, we'll give you some good tips for picking out plants you'll see for sale this time of year. You can still call in those questions to our phone volunteers at 1-800-676-5446. Send us those pictures and emails to byf@unl.edu. Right now it is time for lightning. All right, ready, Dana?
Sure.
This is a Sumner viewer who says he's had raspberry bushes for many years and has no fruit. Why?
I wonder if he's pruned lately.
Or at all.
Or at all.
All right, we have a Hastings viewer who says they have a lily-flowered magnolia that is blooming again. Is that normal this time of year?
Not usually, but sometimes under stressful conditions we can get repeat blooms.
All right, we have a viewer who wants to know how much fill can they put over the roots of established trees and expect them to not just survive but thrive.
Not much. I'd ask why you're doing that.
Okay, we have a Nickerson viewer who says he's getting no tomatoes and then asking how are they pollinated?
Mostly self-pollinated, but they can get some help from insects, but probably high temperatures can cause blossom drop.
All right, we have a viewer wondering whether mulch glue is good, bad, or ugly.
Unnecessary.
All right, nice job. You ready, Kyle?
You know, I had dragon fruit earlier. I feel like I'm on fire.
You're the worst.
Okay.
Wait all week to say that.
Dead joke.
All right, we have a viewer who has a rather old lilac bush, and he's saying the whole shrub is brown with what he's calling a fungus. This has been going on for 3 years.
Pseudocercospora, leaf blight, nothing to do about it, prune.
Prune at the base.
If you want to get rid of it, yes, but it's a very common fungus that is attacking all the lilacs. Really, it's been common for about the past 3 years, and so it's everywhere. We've been seeing it on campus all the time. I could spend the next 40 minutes just talking about it too.
I knew I could throw you off track. Okay, this is a viewer who's wondering whether botrytis would be a cause of her peony buds forming this spring, then turning brown and dropping.
It easily could, yes.
And then black spots on the leaves of same peonies. What disease is that?
Probably maybe Cercospora would be my guess.
And treatment for either or both
I would apply a broad spectrum fungicide such as chlorothalonil early in the spring.
early in the spring. And familiar with leaf diseases that would cause yellowing of sweet gum?
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Sweet gum yellow virus. I made that up. I don't know.
Are you ready, Jeff? This is a Fremont grower who has a lawn overgrown with clover and broadleaf weeds. T-zone with triclopyr has been suggested. Is that a good idea for managing?
Yeah, and this is a good time to start. Next week would be ideal.
Okay.
So temperatures look really good.
All right. We have a question about whether overseeding or reseeding in the fall is better, and this is a pretty rough lawn, pretty tough.
Actually, fall is a great time to do that. Better than spring. It seems like we get a lot less weed germination this time of year.
All right, so either one of those works.
Yes, right. Yep.
Okay. A Concord viewer wants to know what is the best way to kill nettles?
The best way to kill nettles, I think I would mow them down, quite honestly, and then go in and you could do an overspray with some sort of three-way killer. Yeah.
All right. This is a question about a grass or ground cover option for sidewalk to curb strip in Chadron. Any thoughts?
Well, yeah, sure. Buffalo grass or blue grandma. We talked earlier about that. That would be a great thing to have between that hill strip, the verge. Yes, right. Yep.
Excellent. Okay, Wayne, ready?
Yeah, my hair already looks like it's on fire.
Okay, this is a question about. She wants to know, with the benefit to the monarchs in mind, when to cut down milkweed or tear out honeyvine milkweed.
Well, don't ever use honeyvine milkweed. It lives to harbor pathogens, especially from further south, so no on that one. And in terms of regular milkweed, once it starts to turn color, blackish brown and
All right.
drop. Yep.
Milkweed bugs appeared out of nowhere, and this was in caps, in a hidden, isolated garden. Where in the world did they come from, and how did they find our milkweed?
Oh, they're native, they're good at it, so that's their host plant. They're going to be good at finding it anywhere.
All right. Is there a fall treatment window for borers of pine trees? Is there a fall treatment window?
Typically, no. I'd have to know which borers you're after.
Okay. This is a viewer who says something is severing the heads of his sunflowers right before they come into full bloom, just below the sunflower heads.
Yeah, there's a wheel that does that.
And
You can't do it. They're inside. There's nothing you can do about them at this point. Enjoy the
right.
show.
and pick those heads up and pop them into water. All right. Who won that one? Kyle and Dana tied.
I think that's
Even
it was
though
last
Kyle-
time.
I think it was.
Well, you know, we are so proud of how our garden turned out this year, especially those All-America selection. So here's Terri at the Backyard Farmer Garden as she turns our focus on one of the winners.
This week in the Backyard Farmer Garden, we're going to look at another one of our All-America selection winners. This one is Zinnia Crestar Mix. Pretty impressed with this one. They're pretty tall, so you kind of either need to have them kind of in the background or off on their own all by themselves. But they're really striking. This is a mix, so multiple different colors. This one's brand new and combines all the best of the crested zinnias. So kind of those really big, huge heads on those zinnias. We're really impressed by them. They're semi-double, pronounced central disc, and a very vibrant palette of colors: pink, orange, red, white, peach, and yellow. All in this single planting. They've done really well all summer long. Even when we had the handful of Japanese beetles, didn't see a lot of damage on there. There again will be an annual here, full sun, nothing really special. We haven't had to stake them, even in the couple of storms we had with the winds. They've held up really nicely. They're going to be about 18 to 23 inches tall, and they're going to bloom from summer to frost. So check out the AAS winner Zinnia Crestar Mix and stop by the Backyard Farmer Garden to check them out.
It is a great time to visit us in the garden, whether it be to make a donation of your produce or to see those gorgeous zinnias and all sorts of butterflies. With that, Dana, let's talk about what we have, and I wish our people could smell it.
I know, this is lovely. This is a fragrant hosta flower, and this is guacamole. Cody in the booth heard us say guacamole earlier and got really excited. This is about 2 to 3 foot spread, and this lovely flowers here are hyacinth beans. This is a vining plant. We don't eat the beans, but we really enjoy these lovely flowers.
And they are in the Backyard Farmer Garden. This one is not. This one would be a shade plant, so
Yeah.
we don't have any shade over there. All right, well, this is great, and of course we always have wonderful announcements of things going on in the gardening world. Right now, we are going on in the gardening world because we are going to be live at Nebraska State Fair on Monday, 4:15 Q&A, 5:15 live taping. We'll be in the Raising Nebraska building. Before that, of course, we're going to be wandering around looking for those corn dogs. So, and the weather is going to be perfect for once. It's not going to be too hot to breathe. All right, questions. You get the first 2. This comes to us, Wayne, from Wayne. And this is, they have an old barn on their property. He was brushing away some dirt. A swarm of black insects came out. He was running for dear life, looked like a ballet dancer at age 71. They were very aggressive. What are these?
So as I looked really close at these, you can see some hair all the way on the back of the abdomen. And that tells me these are bumblebees, because if they were carpenter bees, they would have no hair on that tip of the abdomen. So you found a bumblebee nest, and this is like deja vu. Last time I was on, we had someone who found a bumblebee nest and had to run away.
Okay. And you have one picture on the next one. This is Papillion, discovered this black hornet-looking insect in the house. They don't normally have them, but what is it, good, bad, and what is their normal habitat?
This is one where I would have loved to have seen some scale. on exactly how big this is. But based generally on what I can see, and if I assume with the imprint of the writing that I can see on there, rough size on this, I think it's a Bethylid wasp. They are parasitic of other insects. So this is a good guy. It probably just accidentally found its way in, and outside would be better.
Okay. And 3 pictures on this one, Wayne. This comes to us from Bennington. She says she has flies going in and out of one of the mugo pines. She took a close-up of some of the black parts, pictures from a distance, and we're not for sure on this, are we?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on here. As I looked into this, I'm not seeing anything real insect related. I would hate to use flies buzzing in and out of a pine to make a treatment decision on this. If you're really concerned, I think this is when we take a good sample and you get it into Kyle.
Okay, just in case. Excellent. Let's see, Jeff, 1 picture on this. This comes to us from Northeast Marshall County, Kansas. Little stranger, she thought, gosh, in her wildest dreams, she thought maybe this could be a baby olive tree.
Oh, that would be fun.
But,
I like olive trees.
and
Okay.
instead she got what?
She has hemp dogbane. Yeah. So, and you know, it's interesting. We just had kind of a little colony of that because it does kind of start forming a colony in our prairie on East Campus that I had to eradicate. So it's very poisonous. It's not anything you really even want to handle. I mean, if you want to, I would suggest digging it up very carefully and getting rid of it sooner than later before it starts developing a root system, because then you'll have it for a while and have to spray it. It becomes a whole thing. So.
As we do in the backyard farmer garden, which came from your prairie.
Oh, you're welcome.
One picture from Plattsmouth. What is this? Is it a weed? It has tiny needle-like thorns on the stem.
Yeah, so like the hemp dogbane, this is also, so it's a native plant, and this is also a native plant. This is horse nettle. So also a poisonous plant, not anything we want to eat. You know, it's kind of has a pretty flower, but I would say, you know, probably get rid of it.
Okay, 2 pictures on the next one. This is from Bennington. They watch religiously. They've been kind of trying to baby this along, not knowing whether it is a weed or a flower, and can we tell just yet?
You know, I had a hard time telling, and the fact that it's not flowering at all makes me wonder if it's something that ended up, because it was a new plant that they planted, so if something else got mixed in with that plant, because if it was a weedy plant, it would have already flowered or be flowering. So anyway, I say send us a picture when it's flowering. Excellent.
And 2 pictures on this. And what is this and how to get rid of it? It twists around all the branches. It climbs what is this?
It's a fun plant. It's honey vine milkweed. So if you let it go, it'll take over your yard and pull the fence down. So I wouldn't let it go. So I would spray this with a 3-way herbicide. I wouldn't pull it. So that's just one of these where normally I tell people to pull all the weeds. This is one I would spray.
Okay. Kyle, 2 pictures. This is an East Lincoln viewer, and this color is on one of his hybrid teas. And he says it doesn't look like black spot. He is good with growing roses, so.
Yeah, we talked about this before the show as well. I'm not entirely sure. I wondered if there was some heat. It looks like it's kind of in the corner, you know, close to the house. There could be some radiation from the cement there. Also, the other thing with black spot on roses, it does weird things, and especially as we have different hybrids that are resistant to black spot, it can always look very different. So unless I would actually have a sample, I can't tell you anything else. I'm sorry.
Okay, 2 pictures from Omaha on this one. Tomato is contorted, weird, no blooms, no tomatoes. What do we have going on here? It
looks like it got doused with a herbicide. If you zoom in, there's some nice zippering of the veins and things like that. And so it is a growth regulator herbicide that got hit. So good thing that there's no fruit or blooms on it, so there's nothing to remove.
All right, 3 pictures on this one, Kyle, and this is peppers. They've been getting these spots since they got planted. He does pull them off, and they produce nice replacements, but What's the deal? He did, and there's an insect involved here, but he's only seen one.
Yeah, the insect that's just a fun bug to look at. Nothing to do with those spots. Those spots are, I showed those tomatoes earlier that had all the bacterial diseases. Could be bacterial spot, could be bacterial speck. It is something bacterial. It's been a great year for bacteria. You're doing the exact right thing. Just remove them as you can.
All right, let's see. Dana, one picture from a cook for you.
Yes.
This is yarrow. She cannot get it to grow without dying off each year. It starts off great and then dies.
I think she's loving it to death.
Right.
Yarrow are drought tolerant, and when they're overwatered, they tend to flop. And as evidenced by, there's a little wire cage she tried to hold that up with. So the bed's pretty narrow. I would widen that bed. You may not need to then overwater, and you may kind of break that vicious cycle.
All right, 2 pictures from Carney, and this is a mum that she planted in 24. It did re-emerge early full bloom in July, and now it's got all this bright green growth going on. What's going?
It bloomed pretty early. July's early for the mum. And when we kind of look at those pictures and that growing environment, and there's this moss rose and it's really dry, I think the plant was stressed out. And then I don't think it could sustain those flowers, and so sent out some vegetative growth. So I would recommend probably some consistent watering, good fall plant care, and in the spring, maybe relocate that to a place that's not so hot.
Okay, let's see, 1 picture on this one. What happened to her cucumbers? Why are they small and why are they round?
Yeah, kind of a bummer, but not a surprise. That's pollination issues, and that can happen. We can get sticky or pollen that's less viable when we've got our high temperatures. So not much to do, but our temps are cooling down. So I think she's gonna get some cucumbers.
Okay. Well, around this time of year, the box stores and the garden centers all start laying out their bargains. Won't be much of a bargain if the plant you bought withers and dies after a few short weeks. Terri and I talk about what to look for at the garden center to help you find that real steal.
As gardeners, we all like a good deal, and there are lots of good deals at the nurseries right now, but we need to be very insistent on making sure that those plants are going to be really good in our landscape moving forward for future years, especially even if they're on sale, there's still money out of our pocket.
So this is a really good example. This one has been in the pot for quite a while. It probably has an okay root system if we get it replanted soon. It's a tree though, and look at how long you're going to have to wait for that tree to turn into something. This, on the other hand, came very small 6 years ago. And I finally decided, all right, I am done with you. It was struggling, it was like this all the time. I pulled it out about 2 weeks ago. 6 years later, you've got what looks like a pig's curlicue tail that was the root system. In 6 years, even in good soil, it's only grown a root system about like this. So something happened early on when this plant was actually being grown in the garden center or in the nursery before I got it that made this plant not want to thrive. It's not worth it.
So when you get these bargain plants, make sure you're pulling them out of the pot and checking the roots and teasing them out and bringing them as far out as possible and getting as much soil off to inspect them before you plant them.
Just remember to keep a keen eye on some of those factors before you actually lay down that cash. It's almost time for fall planting, things like trees and shrubs, but do just make sure you know what you're buying so you don't have to call us later with a question about why it died. All right, Wayne, 2 pictures. This comes to us from east of the Blair Airport. The spider webs really showed up with the heavy dew. There were hundreds of them. Tried to get a good picture, and that is a pretty good one. But they were gone a couple hours later. So did they take them down during the day?
Sort of, but not completely. So the females will eat the sticky part of the web down every day and leave the anchors and then rebuild off of the anchors. So you probably just didn't see them eating it.
Fun. One picture on this one. This comes to us from Omaha. Last spring was the first time she didn't have 100% emergence from her bee hotel, and it was new activity in it, so it was too late to clean it out. How long should you wait for the bees to emerge before you clean?
So this is an odd question that I get regularly about what do I do with my bee hotel stuff. Don't use materials more than 2 to 3 seasons because it's a way to build up pathogens and other things in there. If you are wanting to replace them and not everything's come out, just take them out, set them off to the side somewhere down on the ground. If they're viable, they'll come out on their own and you can replace with new in the bee hotel.
Okay, 2 pictures on this one, Jeff, from Council Bluffs. This says taking over her backyard. The county planted along the road. What can she get rid of it?
Well, it's little blue stems, so for some of us it'd be great, and I would not worry about it. But if she doesn't really want them, this time of year, I don't know how susceptible or accepting they would be of a herbicide. So I think I would, if you want to get rid of them, I think I'd hoe them out.
Okay, 2 pictures on this. This is what is this and what is the best thing to spray it with in the fall?
It's a weedy grass. It kind of looks like a crabgrass. I would say that you could use a quinclorac on any of these sorts of things, but if you have just a handful, again, I think I would just use a hoe.
Okay. Kyle, this is fun. This is a bundle. This is 5 pictures. We're just going to fly through them. The first comes to us from Guide Rock. Looks like a bumper crop.
Mushrooms in the field. It's with better pictures are always helpful, but that first one is likely some sort of lepiota.
Second one, Bennett.
Second one, this is some sort of puffball that's up there, so just grows out of the ground.
Third one, Grand Island.
And these are some more of those lepiotas, the common parasol.
Fourth and fifth pictures, Western Otoe County.
Believe it or not, this is another stage of another lepiota, some sort of parasol mushroom. There is one lepiota, the green spored parasol, that is toxic. So with any of these, you do want to be mindful and certainly don't consume any of them.
And one more.
And it's another lepiota. Again, they can look very similar to a manchas and some other stuff, or to agarics. But if they're out just in a lawn, most likely a lepiota. If they're more associated with mycorrhizae, then it's probably an agaric.
All right, fun. Okay. Dana, you have 2 pictures on this one. This is a Lincoln viewer. They've had this large shrub for several years. It has fruited. This year it flowered, set fruit. The fruit dropped. The top is turning yellow. The lower leaves are green. Is this stress? Does it need fertilizer? This is what shrub, and what do we do about it?
So it's a Nanking cherry. It's in the Prunus family. So it's susceptible to borers and canker, and it's kind of hard to tell. In that first picture, you can see there is some sort of rubber container at the base that's just exacerbating the stress. So I'd start by pulling that out and then maybe doing a little pruning and some good plant care.
So would they prune out that center, and when would they do that? Now, or would they wait till spring?
If that really bothers you, you can prune it out now, but you're gonna affect your flowering. So you can just also wait till after it blooms next year.
All right, and you have one more picture. This comes to us from Carney.
Yeah.
So we've had a lot of Rose of Sharon questions. He's wondering, can he prune this one, and when, and how far off the ground? It's 10 feet tall.
So Rose of Sharon can be pruned. It's tall, and so you might want to do more heading back cuts. And because it blooms on new wood, you can go ahead and do that late spring, or late winter, early spring, and then it'll kind of grow out of it. Do the heading back cuts, which means cut it down to bud, but don't make the cuts all the same across there. You get this ugly kind of witch's broomy growing out. So just be kind of thoughtful, kind of stagger those cuts a little bit.
Right, and one of the things I tell my students is you feather cut. You do this.
Yes.
Cut here and cut here, and then Not your arm, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, not just,
Use that as your measuring stick.
yeah.
Something like that. So, and it really does look a little better than just going
Yeah,
like this.
shearing.
Well, and we have run out of time for this week's Backyard Farmer. We say thanks to everybody who submitted those questions this week. Thank you to our panel for another great show. Helping us on the phone tonight, we had John Cariato, Gary Bell, and Carol Rothstad. Next time on Backyard Farmer, we have our annual show from the Nebraska State Fair. We'll also show you how turf renovation at the practice fields will help our Husker teams win big this fall. Don't forget to stop by the Backyard Farmer website at byf.unl.edu. Sign up for our monthly newsletter. So good night, good gardening. We'll see you all next week right here on Backyard Farmer.